Good day, grade 9 students. Welcome to our virtual class. This is your teacher, Miss MJ. So class, this is just a recap makeup class video, especially for the students who were not able to attend our Google Meet Live virtual class today. So class, before we discuss with our topic today, let's just have a short recap or review of the last topics that we have. So last week, we have discussed about republic. What is republic again? Citizens elect representatives from any group to rule and make laws for them. Citizens can vote out their leaders if they don't like the way they are governing. So class, when you say citizens, it means people. We choose or we vote for the representatives or leaders from any group to rule, to govern, and make laws for the people. So citizens, if they do not like the way the leader lead the country, they can always vote him out. It's not easy, but it is very possible. And yes, it is happening and it happened before. Next, the second topic that we have discussed last week is about federal republic. So federal republic means a country in which the powers of the central government are restricted and in which the states or colonies retain a degree of self-government. Ultimate power rests with the voters who chose their representatives. An example of a federal republican country is United States of America. They have the national government, and this country it has 50 states, and each 50 states has different types of government, and this is called the state government. So these were the two topics that we have discussed last week. Again, first is republic, and the second one is federal republic. Okay, now class, this is our discussion, but before we start, let us read first the words to learn that we will be encountering in our next slides. So our topic is Unit 5, Laws, and these are the words to learn. Please repeat after me so you can still practice your reading skills and your speaking skills even if you're just at home. Are you ready now? Let's start reading. Number 1, law. Number 2, civil law. Number 3, criminal law. Number 4, society. Number 5, culture. So let us have a short explanation about these 5 words that we will be encountering so that later on when we discuss this, then we already have an idea what these words are all about. What is law? Law provides rules. It tells us what we can do and what we cannot do. Okay, so laws provide rules by the people to follow. It tells us that things that we can do and the things that we cannot do. And if we still do the things that we are not supposed to do, then we will be punished. We can be put to jail or we can be fined. The next word is civil law. Civil law. Most law deals with civil law instead of criminal law. The primary goal of civil law is not to punish but to protect people by helping them avoid problems and resolve disputes. When you say disputes, class, problems or disagreement between parties. Let's go to the third word, which is criminal law. Criminal law, the body of laws that prohibit and punish acts that injure individual people, property, and the entire community. So criminal law is more dangerous than that of civil law, and the punishment is also more serious than that of civil law. Later on, we will be discussing the difference of criminal law and civil law for a better understanding of the topic. Now let's proceed to the fourth word, which is society. What is society? The community of people living in a particular country or region, associated to one another and having shared customs, laws, and organization. So class, when you say society, actually is a community or group of people that has the same norms, cultures. Okay? It can be also language, arts, also the holidays, festivals, and celebrations that they are celebrating. Next word, culture. What is culture? Culture is a system of values and beliefs that all societies produce and teach. It is comprised of elements including language, art, rituals, roles, economic and political structures, or history. So class, generally, culture means what a society or community is. So these are the 5 words to learn that we have: law, civil law, criminal law, society, and culture. Okay, class, now the objectives of the lesson. First one, students must be able to know what law is. And the second one, students must be able to know the 2 categories of law. So class, please watch the entire video from the start to the end so you will be able to know what law is and of course the 2 categories of law. Okay class, these are the names of students who did not do PA1 and PA2 yet. If your names are here, then please do it as soon as you can. Okay class, again, please take a look at this because if your names are here, meaning to say you did not do PA1 and PA2 yet, and so you have to do now as soon as you can before our midterm exam because this will be graded 10 points for PA1, 10 points for PA2, so you will lose 20 points if you're not going to do this.
2-1 Bravo, 2-1 Alpha.
This is a true story. I was born and raised in Israel, the most militarized country in the world. I live in Singapore, the second most militarized country in the world, and I studied in the US, the country with the biggest military in the world. It's all about military. The military is a big part of my life, and I get it. Every country needs one. That's what I thought until I landed in a place that has no military. And what I found there made me happy. And I think it'll make you happy. This is the story of the small island nation of Grenada.
Welcome to Grenada!
It is one of very few countries in the world that decided to let go of their army. You think this country must be unsafe because of that, but it's not. Even if it has no army, Grenada turns out to be one of the safest countries. It has very low crime.
It's so safe here, I haven't locked my door since 2016.
No army!
And in fact, the police
How you doing, guys?
walk around with no guns.
No army!
And all the army money they invested in the country. Instead of army bases, they have beaches. The main source of money is tourism, so they develop really beautiful beaches and really beautiful nature.
Welcome to Grenada!
This development is what they spend money on.
Welcome to Grenada!
Instead of aircraft carriers, they have yachts and cruise ships. Tourists flock to this island to get a bit of beach and a bit of sun. And instead of grenades, the country of Grenada has cocoa. The country invested in its chocolate production, so now they produce really good chocolate and export all over the world.
Welcome to Grenada!
And last but not least, education. This tiny island is home to one of the best universities for medicine, with thousands of students flying here to study and become doctors.
No army!
Don't get me wrong, Grenada has many problems. It is definitely not perfect. And I don't hate the military. In fact, I love the military. Without it, I don't think I would be alive, and this video would not exist. But secretly, I wish we didn't need it. Just like every soldier, I wish we don't need to have an army or go to war because nobody likes war. But if you're wondering how a world with no army may look like, well, it'll look something like Grenada. Like this, and this. And that's not a bad place to live in.
Now, class, it's time for us to read law, so please open your social studies books on page 39. Okay, class, so before we read what's on your book, let us read the purposes of law. Please follow after me. Bring order to society. It tells us what we can and cannot do, as I mentioned earlier. Traffic laws set minimum standards of conduct to promote a fair society. It tells us how things should be done. It helps to define processes and tell us how to solve disputes, problems, or disagreement between two parties. What are laws? Laws are enforced through social institutions to govern behavior, formed and influenced by a constitution and the rights to encode therein. The law shapes politics, economy, society, and cultures in countless ways. So class, if you see these two underlined sentences, it means you have to highlight them because these two sentences are very important. It may appear in your midterm exam. If you did not see any word in here, in your book, it means it's not important, so you don't have to highlight them. So class, laws are enforced through social institution to govern behavior for people to follow. Laws are being made so that people are going to know what are the things that they should do and the things that they should not do. And to know the things or possible things that may happen to them if they did not follow the law. Because the law shapes politics, not only politics, but also the economic status of the country, the society, the community, and of course, the cultures in many, many ways. Let us discuss the two categories of law. So the first one is criminal law. What is criminal law? Still, we are on page 39 of your book, class, and please highlight what can you see in the monitor in your book. It's just very much the same. If you did not find it in your book, or if you did not find it in the monitor, it means I did not include it, and you do not need to highlight it, okay? So here, criminal law covers cases initiated by the state or federal government against an individual that has harmed another person or the general public in some way. So criminal law, class, it means the government versus the person that had harmed another person or the general public. And of course, if you do this and you are proven guilty, then you will be punished either by staying in prison or jail, or you will be fined, or it can be both. Now, so let us continue with the second and last category of law, which is civil law. So we are still on page 39 of your book, so highlight everything that you see in your monitor in your book. Civil law takes care of disputes between two or more private parties. As I have mentioned earlier when we were reading about words to learn, and one of them is civil law. I already mentioned to you that civil law is dispute or disagreement between a person and a person, or a person with a group of people, or it can be an employer to its employees, or vice versa. Okay, class, now let us compare criminal and civil laws by stating the characteristics of criminal law and civil law in its objective, purpose, wrongful act, and who brings charges against an offender. So, first one, objective. In criminal law, they protect society's interest by defining offenses against the public, and in civil law, allow an injured private party to bring a lawsuit for the injury. Next, purpose, to deter crime and punish criminals. When you say deter, means to stop. And in civil law, to deter or stop injuries and compensate. When you say compensate, you need to pay or you will be fined. um, you have to give a certain amount to the injured party or to the victim. Next, wrongful act, criminal law, violates a statute or a law. And in civil law, causes harm to an individual, group of people, or legal entity. And who brings charges against an offender? In criminal law, it is the local, state, or federal government. But in civil law, it is a private party, a person, a company, or a group of people. So these are just some comparison of criminal law and civil law. As it's time for me to give you an activity for today. Please answer the following questions. Actually, I only give two questions for you to do. The first one is, what is meant by the word law? And the second one, write the two categories of laws that we have discussed, and please write the meaning of each category. Now, class, when you answer questions number 1 and 2, you can write your answer according to how you understood it, or you can just copy in your book. The choice is yours. Good luck! We now come to the end of our discussion. I hope you understood our topic today, which is about law and the two categories of law, which are civil law and criminal law. If you have any question, you can always send me a message in our Google Classroom privately, or you can send me a message in my personal line account. Stay safe, everyone, and I'll see you in our next virtual class. Goodbye!